Ready to go. My body is ready.
Just lay back and relax.
Well, and I see a live notification has shown up.
All right, cyberspace cadets. It's Irate Prostate here, and we are movie hot takes on Netflix with Big Fat Brian. Say hey, Brian.
What up, fam?
Having some technical difficulties here. Sorry, we're starting 15 minutes late, and that's my humble apology. I went through a Windows update, and then all of a sudden, OBS decided it would get autistic on me a little bit, and that's okay because I love autistic people, and I know how to deal with them, and we got good with it. So, like we said, we're last week we are going to talk about this movie. It's called The Void. All right. So let's get our notes out and stuff about this. This is a very it's an independent film out of Canada. Our brothers from the land above. Um, I think this is one of the better independent films I've seen in a long time. What do you think, Brian?
I think they really did a great job. Clearly, they had a low budget. um, and in the very beginning of the movie, it at first I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, this is gonna be some cheesy B horror movie, but whatever. That's not. I wasn't really expecting anything better, but wow, they did a lot with their budget. Clearly.
All right. I agree. I thought the same thing when I saw it. A lot of the people in the movie you're going to recognize too, just from television and movies. All right. So, all right. I guess we ought to need. I guess we should start with the actual story of the movie. Hey, William. Yeah, let's lay back. We're going to have some fun with this with a triangle cult. This is a great movie. It opens up, and you see this house, and on the door is painted this triangle symbol, right? And as you see these slides in the background, they're going to be just coming up random, and these are just random stills that I grabbed from that were on the interwebs. I didn't want to tell any linear story with it, so you're just going to get just pieces of what the film looks like. So we see this house with the triangle painted on the door. The door busts wide open, and two people come out, and they look like junkies. And these two people follow them, and the guy's further ahead of the girl, and the girl gets shot. And then this guy like pours gasoline on top of her and sets her on fire. And,
Yeah.
and the other guy runs out through the woods going, and I'm like going, holy shit. So this movie hooks you, I mean, immediately, just like from the very fucking beginning. That whole scene is a great hook.
It is. It's a fantastic hook. I do really like how the people who wrote this movie and the director clearly knew what this movie was and how to play the game with it, because in the beginning the audio is sort of, there's a little bit of clipping and there's no real background music or anything, and you really sort of just get this a very creepy feeling, but also a hey, we know we're low budget feeling,
Right.
And then they escalate it from there, which is fantastic. They as soon as he gets the guy who runs away after, I'm assuming his girlfriend or somebody that he knew gets lit on fire, the cop pulls up, picks him up, and all of a sudden you start to hear like creepy music, and they do a lot of ambiance after that point. So it's sort of the beginning of the movie sort of has a bit of an emotionless feel, and then immediately after that first cut scene, you are supposed to get the idea that it's very creepy.
Right. And it's getting that's the great part of the it's almost like they were, you know how you get a video game or even a role playing game, and you get like certain points. You have just certain amounts of things that you can distribute. To like say like a mech warrior. You can only use so many weapons, and you can only get you can only distribute your. What I'm trying to say is that it's almost like this movie was made like people played a game. They had realized they had a certain amount of resources, and they used them perfectly.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not they didn't spend too much money on the actors. They didn't spend too much money on the effects, and they didn't spend too much money on the look. On the cinematography, right? And
Yeah.
and that's such a big temptation for any, like, especially noob. The
The movie definitely wasn't lopsided. Like, you see some movies and they're a little bit lower budget, and the graphics are amazing, but the storyline's not there, or the acting is just really awful. And this didn't have any problems like that. I mean, there are some parts where I would say some of it was just meh, but it definitely wasn't bad.
right. Yeah, I was looking up the writers and directors, and interesting. And these two guys named Jeremy Gillespie and Stephen Kostonsky, right? And Gillespie it looks like he has worked on the art department, and let's see what he's got 3 credits as a director, but it looks like he's worked on a lot of TV series for the art stage side of it. I mean. Let's see. I want to go for director because they both wrote and directed the. So in the Inferno of the Dead is a short. Let's see. So nothing big. The ABC's of Death 2. He wrote a segment for that. And let's see. Director. Of course, The Void, Father's Day, from 2011, and Inferno of the Dead, which is a short. Right, and then his partner, let's see, writing credits include Biocop, Father's Day, Manborg. So it's just like, these guys have enough, but most of their experience is kind of in the makeup department. Like, this guy's a makeup guy. So what we've got are 2 people that are like in the business, and they know the art and the makeup side of it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure that was like a really important element that they realized what they had to do, because they'd worked on so much shit, and that helped them, I think accurately balance the, like what we talked about, the triad, the acting, production, and I guess visual effects. So
The triangle, if you will.
yes, exactly. Each corner of the triangle, and
Uh,
then we get back to the movie. So right,
yeah.
you got this like your average. You're almost it's almost like a Rick Grimesy looking kind of cop. He's got the brown sheriff's uniform on, and he's just, kind of goofing off. It's late at night, and he's just like, waiting to get off his shift, and he's talking to some chick on the radio, blah, blah, blah. We've seen this scene 100,000 times. And then the guy from the very first, that got away, that didn't get burned alive and shot, like his girlfriend or whoever that was, the coward that left his woman there to die.
Yeah.
Comes out, and apparently he had been hit, by a bullet, and he falls to the ground, and right in front of where this sheriff just happens to be. And
Hey,
go ahead.
but look though, if you got 2 crazy guys with guns and you're both running and she falls, sorry.
Tough shit, baby.
Tough shit, you're dead. I'm out.
It was fun, baby. Later, that's funny. So yeah, I think that was some. I think the yucks in this are also intentional. You know, the movie doesn't take itself that seriously. It takes it just. You know what this reminded me of, man? This reminded me of a movie that Brian Yuzna and Stuart Gordon made. Right? They made Reanimator, and they made a movie called From Beyond. And these were loose adaptations of Lovecraft movies. And I think that this movie is like a love letter to that, right? Because it's
I
got
can see that.
yeah,
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 it's
it's got this real '80s feel. It maybe even Hellraiser to some degree
definitely a bit of Hellraiser.
because the dude looks. I mean that the dude at the end looks just like the guy in Hellraiser when he's trying to get his skin back and shit. In the the first movie, the Uncle Frank, the one that got
Yeah.
the one that was that was missing. When the Kirsty's father and his wife inherit when they move in the house. See,
Well, I mean, yeah, but sort of the opposite because he peels all of his skin off.
yeah, well, of course, but see but what it looked like, when he did that, it reminded me of that movie. It reminded me of Hellraiser, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's what I meant by that. Also, I counted that there were 9 distinct movie posters for this for this movie, man, which I
Well,
think is
yeah.
pretty cool.
So, actually, before you even suggested this, I had already seen this movie. I drove like 2 hours to see it in theaters because
Oh
it did
wow!
actually have a theater release. And the movie that I saw in theaters was the same, but this one, I don't know if this is a director's cut that they put on Netflix or not. There's like one or two scenes that are not in the actual, at least not in the theater release of the movie.
Right.
But they only made the movie better. So, for instance, like the Dark Planet scene, I'm not going to say where because we don't want to do spoilers yet. But that scene was not in the theater movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't get to see where the door opens up to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh wow, that was well. Fuck. How did it? Why that's interesting because that's like the big payoff for me. But then again, I can see that without it being in there, that's kind of like a holy shit. Kind of like let your mind just kind of do
Yeah.
it. If you
A
look
what happened moment.
if you look at some of these posters, some of them are very creative with the imagery. And I mean, and of course, this is straight out of Lovecraft. So the cop takes this dude, who he finds, that's got a looks like a bullet wound. I guess was it in the shoulder, and decides he's going to take him to the hospital where his estranged wife works. Of course, there's of course there's a bunch of tropes in this because you get there and the people in the hospital's moving, of course, so everything's in boxes and shit. It's fixing to close up and move to this new, there's a new hospital being built. And so you've got the doctor, the ER doctor, the old guy that's familiar, knows everybody in town, blah blah blah, and then you've got the pregnant girl and her country father. They're there because she's having some kind of pregnant pains, and but she hadn't been seen yet for some reason. Then you've got some patient laying in his bed. You've got the I guess what is it? The Asian girl is like a I don't know, a resident maybe or something. But she's
Yeah,
yeah, she's like a nurse.
she's an intern.
Okay, she's an intern, right? So, and let's see, am I forgetting anybody?
Um, there's the nurse that in the beginning The
Yeah.
one with
Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
scissors,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and the gay guy that the Asian girl was talking to.
Yeah. That's the guy I was talking about. That was in the hospital, right? The Asian. It opens up with the Asian girl talking to this dude. Kind of a flirty thing. You can.
The guy is clearly gay though.
Yeah, exactly. And this is probably her, story, probably her thing, And some of these,
Yeah.
some of these other images I threw in just to give it kind of a cosmic vibe because there's definitely a cosmic feel to it, especially at the end.
So one thing I do want to say, they had all these characters, right? But they assembled them properly. The characters didn't feel out of place. None of the characters really felt like the same character at all. And it had a very realistic feel to the entire, cohesion of their speech and the way they would act towards each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And so they're all in the in the ER and stuff, and then the sheriff guy shows up, and he brings the dude in, the junkie, and he's got him handcuffed to a gurney, and then the two dudes from the very beginning of the movie, the ones that set the girl on fire after they shot her, right? And you really don't know what the fuck is going on with this thing, but it turns out that those guys are actually like the good guys in this thing. It's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, they set a girl on fire, and they're trying to kill this guy, like they're hunting him, and it turns out, that they're the ones that are going to tell us what the fuck is going on. Because because when they get there, all of a sudden the whole hospital is surrounded by these fucking Ku Klux Klan looking motherfuckers with the the orange, the black triangles painted in the center of the faces. The hoods weren't like pointy hoods; they're just hoods, right, in white. And one of the guys has like an eye like on the inside of his palm, and then they all have knives all of a sudden. And it's like, where the fuck did where did that at? Yeah, well, okay.
Well, so it does get explained pretty well, where essentially they're a satanic cult, and of course they all have knives. It's a satanic cult,
right? Never know when you're going to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, to be fair, I should correct that. It's they're not specifically satanic, but the idea is that everyone in the hospital thinks they're a satanic cult.
Oh yeah, and before all this shit, man, this one chick, like the guy that the Asian chick was talking to was obviously gay. They end up, and the nurse, the nurse goes back in there and she's just stabbing him in the eye over and over again with the fucking scalpel. Everybody, what the fuck? And then she starts going after the people, and the cop shoots her. Right?
Yeah.
So that was fun. Just that was like one of those like left turns that a movie will make where that once again I'm hooked even more. It's just every time it gets weird, it just brings me in even more. It's just these guys were so good at that, man. It was just like they were just kept pulling me closer and closer to them, and I'm like, no.
Well, that was a very what the fuck scene because because the sheriff is just walking down the hospital hallway and he hears like a weird sloshing noise, and he's just like, oh, what's good? Oh my god, where is all this blood coming from? Like, it's just not really expected. And when the second he goes into that room and he sees her, it was actually scissors that she just pulls out of this guy's eyeball after they were clearly like halfway lodged into his brain. But the one part I think you're forgetting that is even more creepy is the nurse that does that is acting crazy, and she starts peeling off chunks of her face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good movie. This is, you don't often see that in horror movies.
Yeah, and so it's interesting that actually I'm reviewing this with you because you saw it in the theater, and I can imagine how this motherfucker looked on the big screen.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it was just a feast for the eyes because just the way it's shot, the everything's just it's one of those things that you feel immersed in this whole deal, and the coloring, man. See that there's something that's showing right now, and I mean that looks like something right out of the Brian Yuzna and the Stuart Gordon stuff of the '80s. Once again,
Yeah.
the imagery is just such I believe, an homage to that. I don't know this for sure, but it really it really reminds. I saw Reanimator in the theater, and I saw From Beyond in the theater too. This is back in the in the '80s when it came out.
Yeah.
And there's another movie that from those movies, the main character was this actress named Barbara Crampton, and she's in this other movie that's available on Netflix, and I believe it's called the Beyond or something like that. And it looks like it would be a nice companion piece to this film. I don't know though.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that.
Yeah.
But back to the point where you're saying they have that '80s feel with the art and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and that's clearly what they were going for. But I also think that they did on the monsters themselves, right? And the horror graphics, aka the nurse cutting her face off, and all those things. They used the '80s style. That's not CGI.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I loved about it. All the effects are practical. Even that end stuff with the with the pyramid and all that thing. The planetary stuff, and that was really cleverly done too. So yeah, these guys, they stuck to it. They said we're not going to cheat and go to that temptation of the CGI stuff.
Well, but that's what makes it so good. Is that,
yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, but like
that's discipline.
Yeah, it's discipline, and you get a much more realistic looking monster when it's actually a real model of a monster.
Yep. And of course, it's like the whole deal is, there's the birth of the child is so they can, I think they sacrifice it to open the door. And
no, they the birth of the child was the doctor's daughter coming back.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that made more sense.
And the whole idea was that the daughter and him and all of the semi-dead Hellraiser character things were all going to go into the new world and be whole humans again. Life eternal.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's like the whole the creature is, I guess, what an homage to Yog Sothoth, or what was the Wilbur Wheatley's brother? What was his name? God, I can't remember that from the fucking Dunwich Horror.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Crap. Because he kind of looked like that too. Um, but yeah, all this transformation stuff was so cool, man. It's just the just the deeper we went into the, it's like everything was supposed to like take us downstairs. Um, you know, it's like the dude gets a phone call and he's like mentioning this vision that he had while he was unconscious and stuff. Of these things coming out of his head and shit. Um, uh, and the
Yeah.
doctor, right? So that, supposedly the doctor has got this power where he can like, he's the one that's got all the juice. And this actor is named Kenneth Welsh, and he's been on. I mean, he's been on all kinds of shit, man. I was looking at him at his IMDb page, and the dude's been acting since like the I want to say, boom, boom, boom. Kenneth, yeah,
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 he's a big name actor, by the way.
yeah, exactly. He's been uh, the Blacklist. He's played parts on the Blacklist, The Expanse. If you're into sci-fi series, the Expanse is fucking excellent, but that's for another show. And we're gonna have to figure out how to work that in because it's not on Netflix. Um,
I know, right?
yeah, exactly.
I read all the books and I've seen all of the episodes.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. But you know what? It's available on Siffy, so we'll talk about that off. He was on the original Human Target when they tried to boot that in 2010. Haven, if you remember that from sci-fi. So and then there's all these other movies, that the guy's been in, from Stargate Atlantis, uh, uh, and then the girl, she was in Alphas, if you remember that. There's a running joke on uh, God, the show with Sheldon Cooper. Um, what is the
Big Bang
yeah,
Theory.
Big Bang Theory, yeah, where he's still pissed because they didn't give Alphas a third season, right? Do you remember that, where like he may talk about it this season because he usually mentions it once a season because he's still pissed that they canceled it. But yeah, Alphas was like a pre-runner to like they were mutants. These people had mutant powers, and it was really a nice. It was a two-season thing that Sci-Fi or Sci-Fi, put out there. But yeah, she was on that Supernatural. She's been on. Let's see, the Resurrection TV series. Remember that was the one that was a ripoff of that French. What was it? The Le Revenant series. This was the ABC version. There was also another, an American version of the actual Le Revenant thing that was on. I think it was AMC or something like that. But this is the ABC one, and she was a pregnant woman, in that, and she was also on the Patriot TV series. So she's been everywhere, man. So all these actors are really that's the writing directing team. They got good. C-level actors. These aren't, they're not B or A levels. These are really people that their bread and butter is supporting actors and the featured extra on whatever show they're on, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always that one actor that you see on a TV show and well, he's the killer, or because I recognize the actor, but why is he there? Because he hadn't been in this story ever before, but now he's there, so he's got to be the killer. You know what I'm saying? That character.
Yeah.
And I call that a C-level actor, right? Because a B-level would be a secondary character that gets regular stuff on series or something like that. And then of course A levels are movie stars and shit. So I don't know. That's a personal thing. That's how I can keep track of them or describe them, I guess.
why don't we we can um, talk about what happens immediately after that lady cuts her face off and gets shot in the face.
Okay,
Uh,
I need to remind the chat to at the top make sure that you've got it put on live chat so you get to see everything that's in the chat. Yeah, because everybody's active in it. I just forgot to say that. Um, it's that's so. All right, so after the lady's like stabbing the dude with the scissors, is that what you wanted to talk about?
yeah. So then after he shoots this lady, he goes back out to his car and tries to get help. Tries to call for backup, and he gets stabbed in the shoulder by one of those triangle guys that's outside. They're surrounding the hospital, but immediately when he comes back in, there's that weird giant monster thing that was born out of the body of the dead gay guy.
Yeah, man, and and it just passed the picture of it earlier where it's like it looks like an operating room kind of thing. It was, it's one of those ER, room where they do major procedures but not, surgery. And it looks like something out of Alien and shit. There's, you know,
Yeah, what did
there
you
it is
think?
right there.
That's not quite the right one, but what did you think of the actual monster, though?
I thought it was great. It was weird, tentacly, had multiple faces and like eyes like a spider and shit. And it looked otherworldly. Um,
Yeah, they did a really good job on that artwork. It totally had spider eyes, and it was doing like a weird, almost child's cry scream all at the same time.
yeah,
It's like they mixed. You know how whenever, if you've ever seen the background on Jurassic Park, for the T Rexes, they mix like cheetah and car engine. It's sort of like they mixed in uh, small children screaming and like some sort of I don't know, rhino or something that's huffing and screeching at the same time. It's a very crazy sound that comes out of this monster.
yeah. Well, in the movie Hellraiser, there's a scene, during the dream scene where there's this baby, screaming, and there's this weird feeling that I think it's a primordial thing. When we hear a child in distress, I think we're programmed to react to that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and there's this feeling of helplessness because that noise is just it was weird as fuck, man. And I'm talking about what you're talking about. It was because it was like holy shit. I don't know, man. It's just this movie is so it's so well paced. But it's I don't know. I think a lot of people argue about what the best movie of 2017 was, and for a lot of people like the movie, that Raw film. Um, I'm gonna I'm leaning towards this one, man, because it was just I love a good low budget, drive-in. I don't know if William's still in the still watching this thing. Back in the day, you go to the drive-in and watch two, B horror films. It was like $4 a carload and shit, and you'd like put people in the trunk and shit. This is before I could drive or anything, but that's what kids did. Um, and my dad and I would go at least on Friday or Saturday every week and just see movies like this, you know. um, the Roger Corman stuff. Yeah, this
Oh
is
yeah.
yeah this I love the feel of just the whole. I don't, it gives me I get nostalgic, it gives me a nostalgic feeling, also,
Yes.
and but it's also there's a freshness to it because the story is so weird. It's like, okay, cool, this is another, this is it's like acid, look, I don't advocate using drugs or anything. I've done a lot of drugs and my brain is got some problems because of that, but one thing about LSD is that there's
Oh, there's the picture right now. It's
yeah,
up. The
yeah,
monster picture.
there's the baby thing, yeah, with the spider eyes, and the unique quality of each trip, and that's what I loved about this movie. But it was so trippy, but it was so unique. And this movie is going to stand out in my mind.
Oh
When
yeah.
everybody thinks, yeah, Death Arukin says like Cthulhu. Exactly. This is definitely a nod to the Lovecraftian type, of cosmic slash, physical horror. In the universe, in the physical universe. The great old ones and. And the priests, that are, supposed to herald their return and stuff, because supposedly this where we live is on loan until they come
Yeah.
back,
Pretty much.
and and a lot of people don't know that Cthulhu is a priest. That's all Cthulhu is. Cthulhu is not really anything but he's the priest that helps herald and bring the old ones back. But he's still goddamn humongous and creepy, and terrifying. And will sink your ship. Yeah.
I really liked so the monster grabs a hold of one of the cops, and it looks like it's just sort of grappling him, and then it just takes its tentacles and pushes in his eyeballs and goes down his throat and everything. And it's like, oh
Yeah,
whoa.
penetrated, man.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, tentacle monster death extreme right there.
Exactly. Yeah, you tentacle freaks, man, will enjoy that shit. There's a lot of tentacles in this film, so you tentacle kink people, you'll like it.
Yeah, so I think that I think that's pretty fair to say that we both like this movie.
Oh man, without a doubt. I'd say if you've got Netflix, pop it on tonight, get you some popcorn, turn off the lights. That's the best way to see it is just in total darkness, because nowadays when they shoot stuff in 1080 and they don't use as much lighting as they used to, so and there's so much nuance in the background that'll get missed. So definitely definitely get your visual buzz out of it, because it'll pay off, and it's just so texture. It looks so. I could talk about this thing all day long because it's just so fun. And is it Catkin Siren? Is that your name? Yeah, I love the Cthulhu stories, of course, and all the stories that the August Derleth stuff, and then the stuff that have written. Anything written about this mythos fascinates me, because in the games, the role-playing games, Call of Cthulhu, that's a great one. Did you ever play that, Brian?
I did, actually.
Man, isn't that such a fun fucking game?
I love playing that game.
Yeah. I remember when it first came out, I kept getting killed going into the first house. Because I wanted to know what was in the chimney, right? And I'd reach in and get bitten by a black widow spider every time. And it's like,
Nice.
yeah, the dice, it was those damn dice. Yeah.
Do you want to do the call-in portion of our show?
Hey, Race. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put the connection to my Discord in the part that says started streaming it says 40 minutes ago here, which is pretty right. I'll put it in that part, okay? So give me a second here, and I will create a link invite. Boom. And all right, and back again. Just give me a second, people. Yeah, and what the whole idea behind this, what we wanted to do when we started this thing, is kind of have it as like a call-in kind of format where people come in, they talk, they talk with us about, what we're talking about, for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we rotate and get somebody else, So all you have to do is
Yeah.
wait in the let's see. Wait in the call-in waiting room, and then we'll drag you in. So we're opening for calls right now, quote in quotes. So if you want to come by and in my Discord, I've got the link right there.
I don't think that we should give away the end of this movie because I really think that this is a movie that people should watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you got plenty of grabber there to get into the movie with somebody being lit on fire in the very beginning, and then another lady peeling her face off, and a monster that strangles people and tentacle rapes them in the face.
Tentacle rape, dude.
Yeah.
So I was going to say the Discord link is right under where it says started streaming so many minutes ago. So if you want to come in and talk, come on in the Discord. I can't put a Discord link into the chat because for some reason Google's not allowing but only certain links to work, and Discord is not one of them for some reason. So another mystery for somebody to figure out. I just can't worry about that shit. We got somebody?
Oh yeah, we have JoJo in the waiting room, but I got the link into the live chat.
Okay. If it works, it works, and if it doesn't, use the other one. But hold on, let me see if I can make it work. No, I can't do that because it's my Discord. Anyway, you want to pull JoJo in and talk to him for 5 or 10 minutes about this?
Hello?
What's going on, JoJo?
What's up, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's Jacob.
That was a good movie, The Void.
Yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Give us your rating, JoJo.
5.
Okay.
I mean, it could have been better, but the whole movie had a lot of flashbacks.
I mean, there's a couple, but there's not that many.
Well, I mean, they kept bringing back to earlier in the movie, and then earlier in the movie, and then they bring up plot points you kind of know, but don't really know.
The only major flashback that I saw in there was the flashback where they find the doctor's book.
Oh, I'm talking about the beginning of the movie, how they start in medias res.
I don't think that's a flashback, man.
Oh.
No, that's the beginning of the movie. The movie opens up with that that house, that couple running out of that house. See, what I think it was, I think that was supposed to be some kind of drug rehab thing, because they never. I'm sure it was because of budget restraints that we never find out what this is, but really we don't need to. But I do.
There's no sequel.
Huh?
They're not making a sequel.
No, I wouldn't want to.
No.
I wouldn't want a sequel to it at all.
I mean, it kind of be cool to touch upon more of the story.
Well, I mean, I could see doing another movie in the same world, you
Right,
know, the
right,
same
with the
universe,
same
but
religion, maybe. Yeah,
yeah, but without, like not with the same characters because that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
right.
Yeah, but the ending, just the ending. Oh, the way it ended. How they're in that world.
Ah,
I mean, it'd be cool just to say something happens.
I like that picture that's on right now on the with the fingers.
yeah.
That's cool as shit, man. All these different posters, man. I don't know what they must have a contest or something, or there might be some kind of collectible thing about
But
them.
this movie, you could call it a Lovecraft movie.
I think that's a fair description because I would say it's a Lovecraftian horror, tale, or it's definitely an homage to Lovecraft.
Yeah, but when it gets to when it hits like the point near the high point in the movie, some of that stuff is just you better have a strong stomach.
No doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I love about it, though. Those practical effects are so good, and when you've got one of the writers is a practical effects guy. I would expect it to look like that. It's almost like who's the guy that does the Walking Dead, the makeup guy?
I really do not know.
Yeah, Greg Nicotero.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff looks awesome.
Yeah, he started out working for I think it was either Rob Bottin or Savini, and then he went on and did his own studio. Now he's doing The Walking Dead, and he's directing a lot of the episodes now. He's doing his own thing, and that's what I think these guys are their ambitions are like. I think they want to go in a similar direction.
Yeah, but the people with the costumes, like the white costumes,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reminded me of how they're doing Krypton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the golden, like the way I would not be surprised if half the people who worked on the makeup, like the costumes on this show, are working on Krypton.
That's yeah. When I did my research, when I read on Krypton, and I didn't do a lot. It's made in, most of the stuff on sci-fi or sci-fi, whatever you want to call it, is made in Canada. So that wouldn't surprise me in the least.
But that like The Magicians is a weird show.
What?
Yeah, let's don't talk
right,
about
keep
The
on
Magician.
topic.
Yeah, let's stay on topic. But is there anything else you wanted to say?
I thought the whole idea, like the son and the father and everybody, it felt like The Thing, like a John Carpenter movie. The Void.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. But you gave it a 5 out of 10, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be good for like a once watch, but not watching it more than once.
Right. When you said John Carpenter, I would say out of all of Carpenter's movies, it most reminded me Prince of Darkness. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you nailed it, dude.
Nice.
And that theme for that movie, Carpenter knows how to make themes for everything.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand, how important music plays on horror films. I talked about that when we were talking about the movie Raw. And same with this, the music is very subtle in this. There's not a lot of music.
It's like very 80s like.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole point of this thing is it's a love letter to the to the 80s, to the really great weird stuff. It's just
I would not let a teenager watch this movie.
Goatman says nothing in Canada is more frightening than Justin Trudeau.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's Goat Man. See, Goat Man, if I'm not mistaken, you're the first person that ever like came in on a stream that I was streaming. You're the first name I remember. I'll put it that way. So, and if Goat Man don't show up, it's not a good show. So, and
Yeah.
he shows up just about every time, and of course you too, Jacob. But it's like Goat Man beat you to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the
Goat
whole
Man's a funny
vibe
guy.
It felt like a Silent Hill parody. Not parody. It felt like, well, what the people who made this movie probably played a lot of Silent Hill.
Maybe that's fair. I would say that I can see that. I can see that.
To be fair, Goat Man and Dr. Pickleson are the lifeblood of my cooking streams. They keep that chat going.
Indeed. Death Harukin says no, not a show without the goat. You correct. And it's getting to like some of you guys, man, are starting to become like the tried and true, the irate tried and true. So I may figure out some special designation for you guys, man, because
But I still don't get the triangles. Like, I still don't get how the triangles fit in the whole movie.
well, I think that's just part of the door is a triangle, and you know, there's pyramid imagery in it, and
Symmetrism.
yeah, you know, it's an equilateral triangle too. It's not an isosceles or a scalene triangle. You know.
But I still don't get how, like, to believe this is actually happened, how the hospital and everybody got all the planning to make it the whole rooms just make the rooms in general.
Well, see, they covered that by saying that they had moved most of the hospital to this other location, to this right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's empty, and that's why
it's been a while since I've seen this movie.
Yeah, that's why it's been such it's such an ideal place to do what they wanted to do.
I mean, it was better than the barn.
It was better than that house. Probably that house was where they were originally going to do it, and then when they found out that the hospital was going to be emptied out, then the doctor said, "Well, let's move that shit over here because, I'm the high priest and blah blah blah." So
and
yeah,
that's
probably
still even weirder. Like, how do you become a priest and a doctor at the same time?
Well, that's his secret. He was leading a secret life. That's the whole point. It's like, we're not supposed to know the characters like that until like he like turns and says,
But if that was real, no one would be able to study two different fields at the same time. That would just take a lot of studying.
Wait, what?
If someone was to live as a doctor and a priest at the same time.
Yeah, but he was already an old man, so
yeah.
he's already gone through medical school and everything. The only thing he's got to keep up to date on is like what medicine does, and and
he's a country doctor too,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He's not going to cocktail parties and shit. He's going to he's going to worship services and shit to pray to the triangle.
Yes, the all-powerful triangle.
Indeed. Well, go ahead.
They do explain why in the movie, but once again, I don't want to give too much away at the end here. They do explain why he's into the occult.
Oh yeah, because are spoilers allowed?
Well, okay, now everyone knows it's a spoiler, so yeah.
Well, because his family member.
Yeah, his daughter. His daughter died.
His daughter died, and he's trying to resurrect his daughter into the sheriff's wife's body.
I don't know about the sheriff's wife's body. I think that he was just trying to have the sheriff's wife give birth to the daughter.
Holy Silent Hill! Yeah, we just described the plot to a Silent Hill game.
Did we?
I mean, that does sound like a Silent Hill game.
Maybe that's why it's so creepy.
Yeah, but I'm surprised not a lot of people know about this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't have a huge release.
Well, I mean, it's a straight to DVD film.
No, it was in theaters.
Oh.
It was in select theaters.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Select with air quotes theaters.
Well, I mean, it was select enough to where Brian was able to, see it in the theater. So,
yeah, I had to drive a ways to go see it.
and
though.
usually the really isolated stuff is in will be in like New York, Atlanta, L.A., and Chicago,
But
right?
not Louisiana for some reason.
Right, and if it would be New Orleans, right, the big town.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's even big enough. Maybe Dallas, or Houston,
Spring, Texas.
Houston, maybe. But nothing, nothing small, nothing. No, that's limited releases just because you're guaranteed. Like if New York City, you're going to fill a theater up, at least 2 or 3 or 4 times. With a movie like this. Now, if you put it in like a small, like a town, like say like Knoxville, Tennessee, you may not get that big of a crowd seeing it, unless the word gets out on it, and that's back when I was young, that this movie would have made it through the drive-in circuit, and everybody would have had a chance to see it because
also they had to change a lot of the plot.
No, this movie would have worked perfectly in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, the effects notwithstanding, I think that's the whole point. Is this is kind of like one of those. It's going to withstand the test of time because it's a timeless movie. Because it looks like there's another movie called House of the Devil.
Wait, is that a zombie movie?
No, it's where this babysitter chick goes to this house for like $100. I mean, this movie looks like it's straight out of the 80s too. So this is kind of like it's a great movie. I would recommend seeing it. It's got the guy that if you've been watching the 12 Monkeys.
The main dude.
No, it's the tall guy with the white hair. He's one of the characters in it. Yeah, the creepy looking dude.
Oh.
Yeah, him. Yeah. So.
And Supernatural's gonna be awesome tonight.
Yeah.
Having Scooby Doo.
Oh, cool.
Yes, a cartoon episode of Supernatural with Scooby Doo.
That's awesome, man. Oh.
Well, I think should we give our final thoughts on the video and then maybe?
Sure. All right, Jojo, is it okay if we go ahead and clear the room so Brian and I can talk about it?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, buddy. All right, and thanks for your input. You always do a great job.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so all right, final comments on a remarkable film, and when I say remarkable, I mean that literally, and I also mean it in the figurative, in the usual way that people use remarkable. It's a great film. I loved it.
I agree with you, and I would give this a solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, me too.
Some people are going to be like, well, it's cheesy and some parts look low budget and stuff, but that's intentional. So, if you're not really into this style of movie, then Yeah, I guess maybe to some people it would seem like sort of lower rent, not as good as a AAA style movie, but this is not a AAA style movie, and it was never intended to be.
Nope. This is yeah. This movie did exactly what it was supposed to do. It did exactly what I wanted it to. For it hooked me and it kept reeling me in until I had to see the end of the movie. See, a lot of movies will do that and then they'll just let you go, and then they'll meander around, and then you'll just to be honest with you, I fall asleep during some movies now. When I used to, that didn't used to happen with me, man. And it's usually movies that have a great first and second act, and then the third act goes to shit. Or,
Oh yeah,
it has a good first and third act, but the second act just jacks off and meanders and loses sight, right?
pretty
Or
much.
just a good first act. So this movie's solid on all three acts. It's well paced and well done. Like I said, it fit that balance, of production versus cinematography versus actors. So everything is perfect. So I mean, if it was perfect, it would be done, with a humongous budget. But then again, I don't think it would look like as good as it does. I think a big budget might have fucked this movie up. So,
Ouija brought up a good point, and that's that he was disappointed that the tentacles don't ever come out of the void like in the cover.
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot I'm push to talk. I agree with that as well. But I also think that had it had the tentacles come out of that, I would have given it a 10 out of 10.
Right, exactly. And grabbed everybody and pulled them out. That would have been a great ending too. But the ending that comes with it is really good, man. And I do like the kind of like the cosmic meets the tentacly meets the spider. The spider thing is really an element that I really dug about this, because people, the multiple eyes of a spider is one of the creepiest looking fucking things you can ever see, man. If you see an up close of a spider's head, you know,
For me, it's the fact that the pupils are so large that there's no white of the eyes.
exactly, they're just these black things, man. Yeah, creepy as fuck.
And the I'm blanking here. This is what I was going to say. The tentacles that there was an implication that whenever it was putting its tentacles into somebody, that it was essentially infecting them. Which is why you see that one scene where they light the cop's body on fire and throw it out front of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that too, that's sort of creepy as well. And I thought that was a good angle to go with it. They're just not sure at all what's going to happen with these bodies, and they just throw them outside.
Yeah, and that's kind of a nod to the thing, Right, exactly. It's like, what's going to happen once this shit goes on? Because with a couple of bodies, they get absorbed, but then a couple of them are just still there, and you don't know if they're going to get up or what. So yeah, what's that line out of Alien? Ripley says that thing bled acid. God knows what it's going to do when it's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
That always comes to my mind when shit like that.
Well, that and bodies seem to keep disappearing in this movie constantly.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Where? Oh, he was just over there. Where the fuck did he go?
And dude, if y'all are seeing this thing and it looks like it's getting overshilled and shit, I apologize. I just started using this Nightbot thing, so I'm trying to figure it out, and I apologize if if it's pissing y'all off. That's my major apology. But you can sub or stick a little in the tip jar. We won't mind. Brian, sub to Brian. Make sure you like this video. if you do, and share it. You know, we want to turn people onto this thing and kind of get a dialogue going here. You know, and we love having JoJo come in. But we'd like, you know, more people to come in and talk with us, you know, because that was the idea we had. You know, we wanted to pull people in, you know, talk 5 or 10 minutes, you know, and get some more input into it. So, final words, my brother.
Yes, final words. I really liked this movie, and I think that everyone in the audience should go watch it. And also, everyone in the audience should subscribe to Big Fat Brian.
Exactly. I thought I said that.
You did. I just plugged myself again.
Exactly, and you should. As a matter of fact, I think I can rig a Nightbot to do that for you.
Oh, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, I want to plug my brother here, and I did put some your Twitter and your page on in the description. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and they're sorting Google things. Anyway, so all right. Final words. I think we've said everything we need to say about this movie. All right, next week since we've had so many people ask us about anime and stuff.
Fucking weebs.
Exactly. Hey, you know, I dig me some weebs. You know, they're awesome. But what we're going to do is we're not going to look at an anime. We're going to look at a real. We're going to look at the live action adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, and that's available on Netflix. So watch it. It's a film. It's a movie. It's not a series. And I believe it is available in English dub dialogue. So if you're not into the subtitles, then you've got that option. But the subtitles are there too. So anyway, next week, Full Metal Alchemist live action version of the film. It just came out this month, so it's brand spanking new. Again, everybody that came out this afternoon, sorry about the late start. Just sometimes you can't control shit. But thank you all for coming, and I say hey to another clone, Ouija, Race, Goatman, of course, and Hyrukin, and of course JoJo, and everybody else. Thanks for coming. It's been a fun show, and we'll see you next week. When we
Thanks for having you all.
Yep, and thank you, Brian, for hanging with me and doing this thing, man. This is fun. I really dig it.
No problem. I really like doing this.
Yeah, it is. It's a good thing. So we'll see y'all next week. Rock and roll.
Stug life.